Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Friday time.
It is Friday. Good morning, Bob. How are you today?
Week. I am ready for a Friday. I got to tell you, this has been a busy week. Lots of fun and games, and working hard. And I am ready for Friday.
Look at you! Wow, well, good.
Yeah, you don't hear that from me very often, do you?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, but maybe I'd have to think about that. I have to go back. Anyhow, good morning, everyone. I'm Tom Brush. This is Bob Graham, and this is today's Antidote, our daily Facebook Live show where we talk about that, try to provide that one thing, the one thing to help you move forward, whether you take advantage of it today, next week, or a month from now. It's hopefully gives you thought about some things that you might be dealing with as you try to travel your own unique pathway to success. So, because we just have our thoughts and we know that that's just what's real for us, what's real from you from these conversations might be something different. So please feel free to share your one thing, either in the comments, and whether that's live or if you are watching this recorded later, please feel free to share because it will enhance our show and it might help someone else get through their day today. So all week we've been talking about results, something critical to individuals, organization, teams, businesses, you name it. Results is the name of the game. And I think we've tried to show how you can leverage results. We've worked through a whole process of it. So now I think we're down to the part of what do we do with them? So now that we've got them, and yesterday we talked about, how to focus on some broader parts of all the results you get. Now, what do we do with them? So what are your thoughts on that, Bob?
Well, one of the things that occurs to me is that we typically look at one result only. Did I get the sale? Did I make the money that I'm looking for? And that's, I've got this mentality every Friday. How much money did I make this week? How much opportunity do I have for next week? And I go through that math in my head every Friday afternoon. And some weeks they're great weeks, and some weeks they're not great weeks. What I don't do in that equation is evaluate all the other things. Gave a great presentation to a group, which could lead to more presentations. Talk to a person who really seemed to understand what I do, and they told me they were going to talk to 10 other people. Those results don't get the weight of the bank account result. And I think I'm not alone. I talk to a lot of people. It's like, oh, I had a horrible week. I didn't make any money. It's like, well, what did you do? Well, I spent the week at a conference, an online conference, and I learned a whole bunch of really great stuff. What a great week. How awesome is that? And we don't evaluate it that way and go, wow, that was really investing in yourself, investing in your company, looking forward. No, I spent the whole week at a conference. I didn't make any calls. I didn't make any money. Oh, and the conference cost me $600. So I'm actually net minus $600 for the week. What are your thoughts, Tom?
Well, I think that it is easy to get focused on one thing, and that thing is important, right? I mean, obviously, we need to find clients, we need to engage people, we need to connect with our teams, we need to have sales, and there are other things that we can think about that are going to help us anyway, like in a conference, for example. You go to that conference, how often do we go back 2 weeks from now and say, hey, let me think about, who did I meet? Who did I connect with? What little piece of information do I now have that changes what's real for me as I go out and try to do whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish, whatever actions I'm taking? Do we do that again in 3 months? I think so often we do these actions, we get an immediate result, and then we move on. and we go to whatever the next thing is, because we're all so busy or all looking for, all right, I didn't get that result I wanted this week because I was at a conference. So next week I got to be solely focused on, how do I find another client? How do I add to my bank account? How do I move my team forward? And not always taking the time to think about, well, what happened here and how down the road is that going to impact my business or organization or myself? And understand that there are so many other things that we can be looking at to figure out how to help us move forward, and then what can we do with them.
There was a great discussion. I don't know if you saw Tom in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group yesterday. One of our Renegades Success Network members was asking about, had anyone ever fired a client? Great topic. And by the way, if you haven't been to our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, that's the kind of discussions we're having, where someone's raising a question. And last time I looked, I think there were 16 or 17 responses. But the interesting thing was the feedback that people are like, oh yeah, I've fired clients. I've had to, because they were abusive to my staff. They were doing this thing or doing that thing. Those are results that we have to factor into the equation. If you're working with a client and they drive you crazy, they're calling you at 9 o'clock at night, they're calling you at 5 o'clock in the morning, they expect you to take their call 24 hours a day, and that doesn't fit your life, that's a result that goes against, even if you're making money at the point. And it's funny how many times I've had to explain to people, it's like, if it's taking your life away from you for whatever reason, if you hate every minute with this person, that's a result that we've got to look at and evaluate and say, you know what? Yeah, I would really like their money. That looks really good in my bank account, but what's the cost to get that money? And I think when we look at results, we have to look at more holistically. What are the things that bring us joy? What are the things where we're using our skills? I had a client one time who disagreed with everything I told them. Every single thing. I was like, after 2 months of this, I'm sorry. I just don't feel like this is going to work going forward. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm really glad you said something. We've got to look at it overall, not just the bank account. And now, yes, there are times when I've done it, you've done it, where you do work that you're not really in love with because you know that it's going to pay the bills and give you the ability to do great things. But if you're constantly feeling bad about your work, it's like, oh, this is drudgery. I can't stand this. Oh, it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I hope that the weekend lasts forever. When I said earlier I was excited that it was Friday, it's been an especially difficult week for me with a lot of client issues. Just their issues, not mine and them, but their issues. And I've had to work really hard helping my clients. That doesn't mean I'm not excited about Monday. I can't wait for Monday. I love what I do, but there are times when it wears you down. But I think we've got to really look at the big picture and say, okay, what are all the results of this situation I'm in? What are all the results of my company? Am I helping people? Which is one of the things that I often forget. I look at the bank account and it's like, well, did I help anyone this week? Well, that equation always works in the plus side. And it's like, okay, so I'm not independently wealthy this week, but I made a difference in some people's lives in profound ways that make me feel good about the result, that result.
Yeah, I think about, I had a situation where I had a good client that was, good for my bank account. And I actually liked the people. I liked the work they were trying to do. It wasn't exactly the work I wanted to do. And it was a commute every day. Or almost every day. It was 20 hours of my week that was more than that, because the commute could be an hour plus each way. And as much as I enjoyed it, and as much as I liked the fact that it provided a lot of stability, there were also things about it that were a struggle. So even though this wasn't even a negative result, it was just something that, and it took me 3 or 4 months to feel comfortable saying, if I do this, there will be some other opportunity. When I did the list of, what are the really great things about this client? What are the things that I'm struggling with in this client? There were probably more great things. And at the same time, the 1 or 2 things that were really a struggle became more. And that was more about me. It wasn't about them. It was just, I wanted to do other things. And I had to take that final step to say, okay, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to trust that given that time back, I will be able to replace the dollar and the work piece of that equation, because there were other results that I was looking for that I wasn't able to get as a part of that project.
And I remember that. And that was a difficult situation for you. I mean, we had several discussions about it, and it evolved over 7 or 8 months, probably, from the first day you mentioned it to me to the day you actually terminated that relationship. It took a while. So, these are not things that we can do like that. It takes time. It takes thought. It takes, usually for me, it's discussing it with someone else and just saying to them, hey, here's the situation I find myself in. Just like the person yesterday in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Right. Hey, have you ever done this? He was looking for people to go yes or no. And it was funny to me, the people that had done it were ones that if you had said to me, okay, who's got their business really humming along? Those were the people. Like if you had given me, here are 100 people, Bob, name the 5 that are really rocking and rolling with their business. They're the ones that had no problem. Yeah, if it doesn't work for me, I'm letting that person go. I'm not being a jerk about it. You're not going, hey, I hate you. You're lousy. Get out of my face. You're saying, very politely. In fact, someone had a great suggestion for the language. So if you haven't been to our Ring of Renegade Facebook group, it's right there waiting for you. How's that for a nice tease on a Friday, Tom?
That's good. That's good. Shameless plug. I like it. Well, and I think, sometimes it's just the right time to move on. And that was my situation I wasn't able to do the work that I wanted to do. And I think they were feeling like, yeah, we're getting results, but we're not moving forward. So it became, they would have kept me. They even talked to me about it. I just decided that it was time to do that. There were other results that I wanted to get. And as it turned out, a month later, I got a call for an even better opportunity. Again, not doing exactly what I wanted to do, but it was an opportunity that I would have had to turn down had I maintained this other role, because I couldn't have done the two together. And so I think that often we think that there's nothing else that's going to open up. And if we've been able to secure other clients, other relationships, likely we're going to be able to do it again. They're just going to look different.
I couldn't agree more. And I was thinking about, Tom, this is a weird thing to say, but it's kind of like when you decide you have to leave a job. You get that, it bubbles up one day, and then the next day it's like, yeah, this really isn't working for me. And then you start looking for another job, and then you leave that job and go to the new job, and you feel bad about it. What are they going to do without me? It's the same thing that we do in business. We've got to look at the overall picture. When I was leaving full-time jobs, it's like, this is not working to my advantage. I'm not getting what I need from this. They may be, or they may not be, but it's got to work both ways. Same thing with clients, same thing with your work. So, Tom, it's my favorite part of the program. That's right. We're going to work a comment in here.
All right, good.
I'm definitely a results-oriented person and often overlook the negative results, even when those results could be lessons. It's one area I have to get better in. I am not able. Do you know who this is? Oh, yeah, okay, great. I was trying to figure it out. I think that's really the crux of the issue here. Being results oriented, but the lessons that come from something, there's always a lesson to be learned. I'm a firm believer that everything we do, there's at least one lesson. And I think some of the successful people are the ones who learn the lesson the first time they're in the situation and go, oh, that's new.
Right.
Let me incorporate that into what I'm doing. That's what ultimately I think drives success. Understanding the results more holistically, seeing the things that you can learn that didn't go the way you planned. If everything goes the way I planned, something's wrong. I haven't challenged myself. Just like if you're in a room and everyone's saying the same thing, that's not the room I want to be in. I want to go next door where the people are going, hey, I totally disagree with that point of view. Yeah, please tell me more about that.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing about this. The comment is, I try not to look at them as positive or negative. They're just results. And One of the challenges I think is how we get started with the goals that we set. So when we think about the goal, what's the goal? All right, well, my goal at a networking event is to find a client, like we talked about earlier in the week. And so the only result we're walking away with is, did I get a client or not? And I think when we stop to say, this is just a result, what can I learn from it? What can I take away from it? And what are the other results I was trying to achieve? What can I take from those? Because I would bet that with every result, whether negative or positive, if you want to look at them that way, you could go in and say, I could do something different. I could do, even with you run a mail ad campaign, get the greatest results you've ever gotten. You likely could do something different and potentially get even better results. And I think that's sometimes what happens is when we get those results that match up with what we were expecting, we just move on, right? I just redo that all over again.
Right,
Well,
we get comfortable.
There's a pretty good chance that you'll move on and you'll miss something, or the people they're different now. So, I've seen that ad. I've seen that email approach. I'm not going to respond this time. And I think if we don't do a deeper dive into really be like, okay, what are all the things that I could consider? All right, how do I then think about what do I move forward with? So, I think if we just think about them not as positive or negative, it's just data. And from every piece of data, we have to think, all right, what can I gain? What knowledge, experience, or perspective might I gain from this information? Sometimes there won't be any. Sometimes you'll be like, yeah, I'm stuck. I don't really understand what that means. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just what it is. And I think that if we expand, we'll have more data to look at that can then help us get closer to what we're trying to achieve.
And I was going to say, Tom, if people want to see people looking at the results and trying to learn the lessons from them, go back and look at some of our first episodes of Today's Antidote. Look at some of our episodes in June. Look at them in August. We have evolved through this whole process. And because we've gotten valuable lessons along the way. We'll say, one of us will say, hey, that really worked, or boy, that didn't work. One of the things we added in last week or a couple weeks, it's like, hey, the comments really make this valuable to everyone. We'd love to hear more people's comments. Hey, what if we ask people to share their comments? That was a discovery that came, 10 months into this?
Right.
That's one of those things. So it's not like there's no one I know who just figured it out perfectly. Hey, we're going to do this Today's Antidote every morning. It's going to be this, 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 and this. Tom's going to do the introduction. Bob's going to say his part. There'll be 2 jokes, one at 5 minutes and 48 seconds, one at 7 minutes and 22 seconds. Bob's going to move his hands around a lot to distract us. It doesn't work that way. But we're constantly looking for the lessons. And if someone gives us feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, we evaluate it. Sometimes we go, hey, that's a great perspective. Doesn't change things. Sometimes like, whoa, time out. We got, that's good.
I think that if you think that there's a perfect way, for example, to do this show, we've
proven that wrong.
Well, I don't think there is.
Right.
There's always things you can change and modify based on where, things are tomorrow, things are going to be different than they are today. And so if we just think about always chasing perfection, we'll continue to ask the question, knowing that we can't get there, knowing that there's no such thing. We'll continue to ask the question, all right, this is the result. What could we do differently? If we think there's perfection, we might say, you know what? This was the perfect, we'll just keep doing it like this and we'll be fine. Those are the times we run into challenges, because there will come a time when people are like, been there, done that, time to move on.
And I think we learned a lesson in all this back in March, because so many of us had a pretty good handle on what to do to make things work a certain way. And suddenly someone pulled the rug out and it's like, whoa, time out. You're not going to be able to go to networking events. Wait, you're not going to be able to do this. Oh, you're going to be confined to your home a whole lot. That really changed the game. And I think that's what we face every day. That was an extreme example, but you and I have certainly seen from week to week, things change. They always do. I see some more comments. Let me work them in. Michael says, I think they have a word for that, gentlemen. It's called evolution. Yes, that's it. I like that word. And the idea that we're constantly evolving in business is a really good way to look at it, because you know what it is. You're either growing or you're dying with the business.
Right.
Well, if you're not looking at the lessons that you can learn and seeing what they can help you to figure out going forward, you are in the process of dying. I see another comment. Is that Tim again?
I didn't go look.
Okay. This show, while always evolving, has consistently provided good insight. That's where the value is, not in the joke at 5:48 into the show.
Thank God. All right, Bob, we're at about that time. What's your one thing about results and what to do with them?
I think it's looking big picture and seeing all the information you can gain. And I like what you said about asking the questions. What are the three questions? Tom, you have three questions you ask all the time.
Yeah, so I asked what went well, what didn't go as I thought, and what might I do differently?
There you go. I like that. That when I do that with anything I do, that usually leads me to a discovery that makes the next thing I do better.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for that one thing. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. And for those people, as always, for sharing your comments. And again, if you have a different one thing that you want to share, please put it in the comments or post it in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. That would be a great discussion. I'm sure that it would start. And if you are not in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group and you want to be a part of these discussions, just go to Facebook and search for Ring of Renegades. It's a private group because we want a community where you feel comfortable sharing those type of things and or offering value back to somebody who is looking for it. So you just have to ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you can become a part of our growing community trying to help one another take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. So with that, I hope that everyone has enjoyed this week. We will be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Can you mention, Tom, don't we have a networking event really soon?
We do have a networking event coming up very soon. It's Tuesday.
It just popped into my head.
Next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, immediately following our Today's Antidote. We'll have our regular second Tuesday of the month networking event. There's more information about that inside of the Facebook group. And so we hope you will join us there, which is always a great discussion. Always get a chance to meet some people, learn a little bit more about who they are, start to build that know, like, and trust so that you can find ways to be able to work together and add value to one another. So we hope that you will join us then. If not, join us tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone. And if you ever get stuck trying to figure out what to do with your results, becoming a member of the Renegade Success Network will offer you the opportunity to connect and engage with Bob and I, where you get a second set of eyes, a different perspective, helping you try to figure out what to do with those results that you get. So here's a little bit more information about the Renegade Success Network. Have a great day, everyone. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all
working towards achieving their goals. You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.